Ultimate survival technology products. We've all seen them everywhere. Are they any good? Do they work? Do they not work? Are they worth the money? We're going to go over a bunch of their products. Stay tuned. Okay, so you can't walk down the camping aisle of a Walmart without practically tripping over UST products. UST stands for Ultimate Survival Technologies. They make a ton of stuff. And most of it's really inexpensive. So I just went to my local Walmart and just bought a bunch. And we're going to talk about everything that I was able to pick up. And I don't even know where to start with all of their stuff. Let's start with their compasses. I have seen, and not all these were at Walmart, some of these were at other sporting goods stores. I've seen 3 examples of their compasses. Let me get stuff out of the way here. So they have this small base plate compass. It's not liquid filled. It has a magnifying glass, a turnable bezel. It doesn't click. It doesn't lock into place. It just is very free floating. It does show north. You do have to kind of play with it a little bit. It tends to get hung up if you don't have it perfectly level. I had this out in the field here a few weeks back, and it kept getting hung up. Gave me some difficulties. So I'm not real overly impressed with this one. They also make, this is like an upgrade. This is more of a map style compass. It comes with a mirror with a sight line. Measuring on both sides. It also has a turnable bezel. Again, it doesn't click or anything, but it definitely is more fixed in place. Again, it's not liquid filled. It does show north. Again, you have to be pretty careful with it being level, but definitely an upgrade. It'd be nice if they included a small magnifying glass on this one, but they don't. And the mirror is nice to have. Definitely a step up. And this one, I actually just picked this one up. I haven't even opened it yet. I'll open it up here and we'll take a look. But this is their lensatic compass. Now this one is liquid filled, so I'm expecting this one to be a little more accurate. Doesn't have to be quite as perfectly held level. Lensatic compasses, they do call it an engineering style compass. And I think these two are about the same price, under $10 still. This one was like under $5. So we'll see how this one goes. The compasses, I don't know how well I trust them. I think you're still better off going with a military lensatic compass if that's the style you're used to using, or going to a Sunto, Brunton, or a Silva compass for a map style compass. Cutting tools. You guys have all seen this one, right? The Paraknife 4.0. Comes with a fire steel and a ferro rod and a sheath. That's it right there. It's not a terrible knife. I haven't used it much. I've used it a little bit. Maybe a 1/3 serrated. Fine edge. Relatively sharp. Wrapped in paracord. It does come with this fire rod. Now this is what it looks like brand new. When I got it, I made the assumption that you've got just a small ferro rod right here kind of glued into this plastic base. And that's kind of what it looks like. The ferro rod's not the full diameter. Get a pretty good shot of it right there. So the assumption was it's just this plastic rod and they glued the ferro rod in. It's not actually the case though. What I thought was plastic is magnesium. So it's real similar to those magnesium bars that you can get, on the cheap. So you've got the magnesium and then a small ferro rod glued into the magnesium. And got some footage of how well this works. The magnesium, it's not great. It does burn. It's just not great. But the ferrocerium side of it does show some pretty good sparks, and it is handy to have. This other cutting tool, now they do make like a parang. I didn't pick that up. I saw this one, I think, twice at my Walmart, and one of the times I was there, I picked it up, and I haven't seen it since. It's a small folding saw. And you can see, I've used it quite a bit. It's not that great. It does not do a good job. Now, it's too short, and as you can see, as most of their products, it's made in China, as is the knife. This one's way too short. Now, I did do a little bit of research to find that they do make a longer one, and maybe that one works a little bit better. The handle's good, feels good in the hand. It doesn't want to move. It's a liner lock saw. But yeah, this one's just way too short, and it's very hard to cut with. It's a typical pole saw, Japanese style pole saw, so you're making the cut as you're pulling it back as opposed to pushing forward. There are better options out there. Obviously, the Baco Laplander is like under $20, and it's still a much better saw than this. The Coleman one I've seen at Walmart, I have one of those. I've used it. It works better than this saw as well. I think mainly because it's longer, it's a little thinner, it does a better job. And what else do they have? They have glow sticks. And you know what? The glow stick, it works. You crack it open, you shake it, it glows. They make paracord. I've seen it in this kind of ACU digital camo, black, and kind of a safety orange. It's more of a pink, but safety orange. They have them in 50 feet lengths and 100 feet lengths. I did a little bit of research on their website, and unlike a lot of the cheap paracord you find in some of those big box stores, this is actually rated at 550 pounds. I saw some other ones that were rated at like 325. This one's actually rated at 550. You can find paracord everywhere nowadays. Just make sure that what you're getting is actually a 550 rating on the strength of the paracord, and the UST is that, so it's a pretty good product. They make a couple of fire starters. The Strike Force, which is their large ferro rod, and the smaller Spark Force. Standard 1/4 inch, maybe 5/16 ferro rod with a pretty heavy metal striker. It does a real good job. Small, easily packable in like in a cargo pocket or in a small pocket survival guide or pocket survival kit. I used to do that all the time. Jeez. So I like the Spark Force. This is the Strike Force out of the package. It's obviously much bigger, but same concept. really large, beefy ferro rod, and a good heavy metal striker. It does a great job. I like this especially. I have this in my hunting pack because everything is just so big. It's very easy to use when you're wearing heavy winter gloves. You're not going to drop this on the ground or in the snow, and you're not going to lose this thing. And you just get such a big, good purchase on it. It's easy to use with gloves, and locks down pretty good. And you've got this compartment right here where you can throw some tinder right inside the handle. I think I've got 3. Those are actually the SOL Tinder Quicks, but it holds theirs as well. And speaking of their tinders, they offer the Light Me Tinder. You get 8 of them. Again, under $5. It's their fire starter. Very similar to the SOL Tinder Quicks. You get this just small tab. You kind of pull it apart, fluff it up, and it takes spark pretty good. I thought this was originally just kind of wax-coated cotton. It does have a waxy feel to it, but when you start puffing it up, it feels more like a liquid. So I'm not sure exactly what chemical is in these, but they work pretty good. I'll show you an example of that. And probably their best fire starting is the wet fire. I think all you guys have seen videos on these. You've seen videos where they light them and they pop them in a glass of water and they just sit there and float and burn. Just you scrape shavings into a pile and you light it up. You light it with a ferro rod, with a match, with a lighter, and the cubes are just. You just get these kind of waxy feeling cubes. And they work outstanding. Now, on their website, they will tell you that they don't do, once they start getting air to them, they don't work real well. They will start to decay, I guess would be a good source of a term there. So how do you know when they're not going to be an issue? When you squeeze them and they still have air in them, they feel kind of pillowy. When you have a Ziploc bag that has air in it, you kind of get that feeling to it. That's how you know when they're good. If you have one that's completely, there's no air in it, and it just conforms right to the shape of the cube, it's got a pinhole in it, it's time to get rid of it. What else do they make? They make Camp Kitchen, their folding stove with fuel. Yep, it's an Esbit stove with their fuel. It actually comes with 8 fuel blocks. Here's 4. I've used this one a few times. You just set it there, you put your block in the center, light it, set your pot on, boil water, 1 cube. For me anyways, it did boil a canteen cup full of water. I'm not sure how many ounces it was, 16, 20 ounces, I'm not sure. But 1 cube did boil it. Obviously you can have it straight up. The cup's a little smaller. Kind of put them at an angle just like this. Cook that way. It works well. It works as good, in my opinion, as an Esbit stove. They also make your standard Mylar space blanket. It's a Mylar space blanket. It works. They make a clear, cheap kind of disposable rain poncho. It's a clear plastic rain poncho. Kind of a one use only unless you're real careful. That works also. No complaints with that either. And they also make this. This is their Survival Blanket 2.0. It's under their protective gear line. This is, just as the picture shows, it is a space blanket with a Mylar on the inside, orange on the outside. It has grommets. It measures 5 by 7. And it's, I guess, supposed to compete with the SOL emergency space blanket, or I'm sorry, they call it the sport utility blanket, or the grabber space blanket. I think this was like $12. The grabber space blanket I think you can pick up for like 15. I know under 20. The SOL sport utility blanket's the most expensive at like 25, I think. This one for 12 and the grabber space blanket for say 15. Get the grabber space blanket. This one is, when I took it out of the package, I realized it's much thinner than I expected it to be. Actually, than the one that I got, I took it out of the box brand new, opened it up, and it already had a tear in it along this edging right here. They kind of sew this whole black edging around the entire outside of the tarp, and mine had already ripped away. I mean, it was brand new, pulled out of the box. And like I said, it's thin. It's thinner than your standard tarp you'd get at a Walmart or even Harbor Freight. So, you know, it is what it is. It's $12 survival blanket, 5 by 7. You know, they show the flag configuration, just wrapping up in it. I did go on a camp here about a month back. It did start to rain, so I did this exact style of setup here with one of these UST blankets, and you know, it was up, the grommets didn't rip out, it was windy, it was raining, so it did the job. Like I said, it was ripped right out of the box, but that didn't seem to affect the usefulness of it. So that's just a few of their products. I know they make a lot more. They make several different more tarps. They make a base tarp, a hexagon shaped tarp, and I've heard good things about a couple of those. So let me wrap this up, and I'll tell you what I think about their items. So I'm going to start off with the good. What products of theirs are good, of what I have personally used? Their 550 paracord. It's good. It's got the correct rating. It's got the 7 inner strands, exactly what you'd want. So I have no problem. You know, it's not the mil spec Type 3 or Type 4 nylon rope that the military requires and uses, but for just readily available store-bought paracord, it's got the right weight rating. It's good. I use it all the time. Probably their best products are their fire starting products. The Light Me Tinder is probably the weakest of all their fire starting products, but I've lit many fires with them. They work great. The Wet Fire, you know, one of the best fire tinders out there, in my opinion. It's a great product. And both of these fire starters, ferro rods, I think are great products. The Spark Force for a small, personal, pocket-sized ferro rod, you can't beat it. The Strike Force, you know, it's big. You can get a 3/8 ferro rod that's not as bulky and doesn't take up as much space. But as far as it having a cavity to keep some tinder in, being able to use it in cold weather with heavy gloves, you drop it, you're not going to lose it. Like you've seen on Alone, I think both seasons someone's lost their ferro rod. You're not losing this one. It's just too big, it's too bright orange. That's their good products. I would definitely have no problem using these, and I have used all of these. Now let's look at serviceable. Their glow sticks, yep, they glow. They do what they're supposed to do. The folding stove, it's an Nesbit stove. It boils water. The cubes last long enough, like I said, to boil some water. The cubes are included. It's a very serviceable pack style Nesbit stove. the survival blanket. Yeah, it's thin. Mine was ripped right out of the box, but I used it for a day in the wind and rain. It worked. So I would definitely call that serviceable. The knife, I haven't used quite enough yet. I'm going to put it under serviceable because I don't see any problems where the thing's going to break. I mean, there's no handle scales. It's a solid piece of steel, obviously full tang. You know, it's relatively sharp, and you can always sharpen it up. I don't think this thing's going to break unless you're really beating on it. It is made in China, as I said, with all their products, I believe. Let's see if I can see this type of steel it is. Let's see, 4 millimeters thick, 4-inch blade. The package does not say the type of metal it is. It doesn't 6 feet of paracord. Yeah, so it doesn't really say. The fire starter that comes with it, you know, it throws some sparks. I mean, definitely with all the good fire starters they make, I don't know why they would, you know, even market this or include this, but they do, I guess, because it fits in the sheath. But you know, it throws sparks, so it's serviceable. So that's, like I said, that's what I would call serviceable. I don't know if I'd stake my life on them, but if I had them in my pack and I needed to start using items out of my pack, I feel comfortable that these will, you know, get by for a day or two. Definitely not long-term durability on these products. And now what I would call the bad. As I said with the compasses, yeah, they show north. They're really finicky, but I just don't trust them. I won't use them. You won't find them in any of my kits. You know, this one maybe, but probably not. We'll give this one a try, see if it's an upgrade over the other two. I'm hoping. We'll see. This, and by the way, they called this was the saber cut saw. Like I said, I think they make a larger version. This, I've given it a try. I've tried to cut some wood with it. You know, it cuts, but man, it's an exercise in frustration. So, you know, I would call these the bad. I wouldn't trust these if I needed to use them. They do make one more thing, and I have it. I don't know where it is. It's kind of a survival card multi-tool kind of thing. It's got like a bottle opener and a saw and a small knife and like a screwdriver bit. It's like the size of a credit card, kind of like the size of this base plate made out of metal with a bunch of little tools on it. I have one. I have no idea where it is. It's a novelty. None of the, you know, the bottle opener I'm sure works. You're not going to cut anything with it. It's got a saw blade and a small sharpened knife edge on it. It's a novelty. If you need to use that, man, you have my sympathy, because if that's all you had and you needed to get some stuff done, whew, you're not going to be enjoying life. I'll put it that way. All right, so that's kind of my, I don't know, it's not the good, the bad, and the ugly, but it's the good, the serviceable, and the bad on the UST products. You know, everyone has a Walmart nearby. Everyone goes to Walmart probably at least once a week. If you don't, you're probably just lying. That's their products. Not all of them, like I said. Other ones, they make some other tarps and some different style of cutting tools that I just didn't pick up. So, you know, be careful. They're fire starting. Don't have any worries about buying any of their fire starting products. I think you'll really like them. I'm going to do a little bit more testing with that knife to see if it's worth having. I've got the one for testing. I've got the other one. You know, maybe I'll give away that one that's still in the package if I'm comfortable with giving it away and saying that I would use it. So there you have it. There's the UST brand products from Walmart. This is PA Outdoors. Please like, comment, share, subscribe to my channel, and get outdoors. Enjoy yourself. But please be safe out there. Thanks for watching.